Okay, Revelation chapter 14. Sorry, chapter 13.
13.
Yeah. And from verse 10. Revelation 13 from verse 10. Okay, cool. It says, He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. That means if anyone is to go into captivity, he will go. If anyone is to be killed with the sword, he will be killed. This calls for patience, endurance, and faithfulness on the part of the saints. Meaning what? Everything is determined by God, that I cannot suddenly think that my life will go this way. Now it says, if anyone is to go into captivity, that one shall go. And if anyone is to be killed with the sword, that one he will be killed with the sword. Eh? And it says, now this calls for patient endurance and faithfulness on the part of the saints. Because God's times are set. God's boundaries are set. Nobody can move beyond his time. Nobody can move beyond his boundaries. Eh? God's time is set. God's boundaries are set. Now it says it calls for patient endurance and faithfulness on the part of the saints. Eh? Now, Acts chapter 17. From verse 20. Acts 17. From verse, yes. But maybe rather, let's start from verse 24. It says, God that made the world and all things therein, seeing that he is the Lord of heaven and earth, dwelleth not in temples made with hands. Eh? Neither is he worshipped with hands, although he needed anything, seeing he giveth life to all, and breath to all things. And he has made of one blood all nations of men, for to dwell on all race of the earth, and has determined times before appointed time. Seeing he giveth all things into life. Verse 26. And he has made of one blood all nations of men, for to dwell in all the face of the earth, and he has determined times before appointed, and the bounds of their habitations. That means everything has been set already, that this will go this way. And the time in which it will exist has already been set. So there is nothing that I can do that God has not yet determined. There are two things that God has determined for each and every person. One, if I follow him, my life will shine. I will go through success. He will deliver me from every pain. But if I don't follow him, my life has already been determined that I shall fail in every effort that I take. So these two lives are given to every person. Everybody has two destinies. One destiny when he follows God, and one destiny when he does as he pleases. When I do as I please, in Deuteronomy chapter 30, from verse 14. Or maybe start from verse 11. Deuteronomy chapter 30, from verse 11. Okay. He says, "For this commandment, which I command thee today, it is not hidden from you, neither it is far off. It is not in heaven, that thou shouldest say, who shall go up to heaven and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it? Neither is it beyond the sea, that thou shouldest say, who shall go over the sea for us and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it? But the word is near thee, the word it is in your mouth and in your heart, that thou mayest do. See, I have set before you," that's God saying, "see, I have set before you this day life and good, and death and evil, both set by God." Two destinies that a man has been set. "See, I have set before you life and good, death and evil." Two destinies which are set by God before every person. "And in that I command thee this day to love the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways and to keep his commandments and his statutes and his judgments, that thou mayest live and multiply. And the Lord that God shall bless thee in the land whither thou goest to possess." First destiny. I say, I command you this today. I've put two destinies before you. One destiny goes to success, and other destiny goes to failure. First destiny is that I command you today that you love the Lord the God. That if I love God and I walk in his ways and I keep his commandments and his statutes, that I will multiply. I will live and multiply. And God shall bless me in the land where I am living, and I shall possess it. That's the first destiny. The second destiny, "But if thine heart turn away," that's wickedness. But if thine heart turns away, so that thou wilt not hear, but shall be drawn away and worship other gods and serve them, I denounce unto you this day. Second destiny, "But if my heart turns away not to follow God." Now God says, listen, I denounce unto you this day, that you shall surely perish, and that you shall not prolong your days upon the land, whether thou passest over Jordan to go and possess it. Understand, it says, I denounce unto you this day, that you shall surely perish. Second destiny. Two destinies. Everybody has these destinies, guaranteed. There is no destiny that a person can set. That means I cannot set myself a destiny for success. Neither I can set myself a destiny for failure. It lies between two things, what God has put before me. It's either I choose life, because it says, I've put evil before you, I've put death before you, I have also put life before you, and I've also put success before you. But I'm advising you how to choose the way of life, the way of success. This is the way of success. This is the way of life. If you follow my ways, if you keep my commandments, you shall live and you shall multiply on the earth, and I will prolong your days. However, I also denounce unto you this day, I also denounce unto you this day that you shall surely perish if I walk according to my ways. Now, verse 19 says, I call heaven and earth to record this day. That is the day that God says, heaven and earth, I give them authority. I give them a command. I call heaven and earth, two witnesses God called. I call heaven and earth to do what? To record this day against you. They must, from today on, heaven and earth, to monitor, what is my heart choosing? If my heart chooses God, heaven and earth, knows, heaven records my decisions, and earth is to produce, is to create favor in my direction. But if my heart departs from God, heaven and earth, two witnesses, say, I've put them before you today. I live on earth. Heaven is above me. I dwell on earth. And these two witnesses are monitoring me. No matter whatever I can do, they see my heart. Whatever I decide to do, they walk according to God's commandment. They cannot fail. They cannot fail. It's like taking a corn and put it on the ground. It shall surely produce, because the ground knows once the corn be put there. But if a curse has been announced, remember, God says, I've said before you today, I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, that both you and your seed may live. And that this is how this is how I choose life, that thou mayest have loved that thou mayest love the Lord your God, and that thou mayest obey his voice, and that thou mayest cleave unto him. For he is thy life and the length of thy days, and that you may dwell in the land which the Lord swore unto your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to give unto you. It only depends on my choices. Heaven and earth, they monitor my choices. I can lie. Well, I will never lie to anybody but to myself. As long as it says, this day I call heaven and earth as witnesses against that you shall set, that I have set before you. They witness, they monitor my choices. Heaven and earth, they have access to my heart. They monitor my choices. That's heaven and earth. They have access to my heart. In Jesus' name. In Jesus' name. It only lies, depending, everybody has two destinations. One destination to destruction, when I do things according to my will. And other destination to life, when I follow God's way. Nothing else. Nothing else.